So today we are joined by Dr. Evis Garcia. Dr. Evis received her PhD in urban planning and policy from the University of Illinois at Chicago in 2015. Dr. Garcia joined the Department of Landscape Architecture and Urban Planning at Texas A&M University as an associate director, professor, fall of 2022. Dr. Garcia previously taught graduate and undergraduate community engagement in planning, planning communication, and studio courses in Chicago, Puerto Rico, and Salt Lake City. As a former professor at the University of Utah, she also led West Side Leadership Institute, which is an innovative undergraduate course that residents and students take together to develop a community project in Salt Lake City. And you will have opportunity for interaction during the presentation, and as well, you can also ask questions by unmuting or by typing them in the chat. All right, so now I'll give the floor to Dr. Garcia. You can go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Nigeria, for such a great introduction. I'm very excited to be here with you. I'm actually, it seems like I'm joining you from the beach. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, but I am not there right now. I'm actually like in Texas. And I live in Salt Lake City for 7 years. So I hear that today's beautiful but cold. So I miss it a lot. And today I will be talking about some of the work that I did with my students in community engaged classroom. But the way that we're doing this presentation is like there will be like some time for interaction, and then I will tell you about what my students did in this class, and then we will have a little bit of reflection. So hopefully we can achieve all that in the time that we have, which is like an hour. I'm going to be posting here in the chat. Let me just, I'm like trying to post this here, and I was copying and pasting other things before. Okay, so there's like a link in the chat. So I want you to go there and put the first slides that you see are to put your name, and I'm going to like be presenting that and put like some of the communities that you have been working with or that you hope to work with. So I see like some of you are adding the information. And again, here is about communities that maybe in your classes, you have engaged with this, maybe through like service learning with particular communities. Maybe you are part of that community yourself and you are engaged in different things in your through church or through like your previous school experiences, or maybe you're taking a class right now that is like looking at a particular diverse community. So just put there, I see that a lot of you are working with the LGBT community and also with community of colors, and there's like seems like a very good mixing here of students that are at the University of Utah and some at the Salt Lake Community College. So thank you so much for signing in, and just to see who is here. Maybe some of you know each other, and this way through the conversation you can look, oh yeah, they're actually like a student like myself in Salt Lake City Community College, or I see several people working in the deaf community, which, you know, one of my questions immediately is like, do you know each other? Are you working together? Those questions are obviously important in community engagement because we come together based on similar interests. And here, obviously, we have come to this talk because it was attractive to you, thinking about what are some of the struggles that you have experienced in your community engaged work, but also thinking about what are some of the successes and what we can learn from each other. So I just wanted to do this as a way to kind of like have an introduction. Obviously, we have a lot of people and we are not able to do more in-depth introductions, but again, feel free to look at the sheet. So I'm going to move on to our next exercise, that it is about doing a World Cafe. And a World Cafe is just an opportunity for people to get together in an informal way. You probably have heard about this also going on in person. Obviously, we are going to do it like in Zoom, but in a regular World Cafe, people will have like tables and they will move from one table to another. And a host or a person will stay there in that particular group. And then people will cross-pollinate and talk to each other and build on a particular question. Because we are not in person, that's kind of like complicated. So what we're gonna do is like make 4 groups, and in those 4 groups, we have very little time, which is only like about 5 minutes to talk, to put in these like sticky notes some of the struggles that you have experienced. So for example, I will add like one example in group 1, language issues, perhaps, right? So again, well, we're going to make 4 different groups, and you should be able to look at the top of your like Zoom screen, like which group you are part of when I invite you. But there's like 4 of these different slides. And again, you can just like start typing here as many things that you can think of. And a few you might be able to like kind of verbalize what you're thinking about. There might be about 5 people, so it's like about a minute per person. So it's like something that is kind of quick. Hopefully everybody will have opportunity to say at least like something, but if not, we will capture the thoughts by writing them here. So I want to stop this share for a minute to see if there's like any questions that you might have, or any points of clarification that I can make. Okay, so it doesn't seem like I need to make points of clarification. And I hope that again, everybody has the space that we are like working in. I'm gonna like put it here again. And I'm going to then divide you in your breakout groups. So it seems like there's like 6 participants per room, which is a little bit much actually. So I'm going to just real quick add one more room. So we have like now 4 to 5 participants. I'm gonna add 6 rooms actually, or 5 rooms. And what I'm gonna do is like add a slide. Right now I don't have like an extra slide, but I will do that as a slide number 5 while you're doing this. So I just going to create the rooms and open all the rooms so you can go there. And again, if you're going to the slide, we'll create one. Right, well, welcome back. I see that, yeah, people are just coming back to the main room. I had the opportunity to visit all the rooms. Some of them were a little bit more quiet working on the spreadsheets or the PowerPoint. So I look forward to reading those like more like carefully. And some of you were having, again, very lively conversations. So thank you so much for engaging in this exercise. So now we have about 5 minutes to talk about some of these conversations. Not everybody has to report back. We have a lot of rooms, but if I could hear like from 2 or 3 groups and then talk about we can put together what were some of the both conversations that you have in terms of like what were some of the struggles, but also some of the successes that you have working with diverse communities. Is there anyone that likes to share what was a conversation that you had? I don't know if it's in um, room 1. Is there like, and again, this could be something very short. You don't have to also summarize the idea for the whole group, but it could be some of the conversations that you heard, or answering the question yourself as well. So anyone?
I can share.
Thank you so much.
So in my group, somebody did say how one of the challenges of working with a diverse community was how they have, like, sometimes they have a lack of trust,
Yes.
and that could cause like a conflict.
Yes, and it takes a long time to build partnerships, right? And to build that trust. And many times you go for like maybe short period of time, right? And it also depends, as you say, like who's doing the engagements. If you're doing it with the university, there's definitely a lot of suspicion, right?
Yes.
From the university. Also, like if you work for government and if you're not from that community, definitely it makes it a little bit easier if you like share the identity, right?
Yes.
Of that particular diverse group. And again, diverse is like broadly defined how how I saw that you did it, actually, like in the way that you were answering the questions. Thank you so much for like sharing big challenge. And anyone else wants to share like a challenge that stood out to you, or maybe a success that you have had?
I can share.
Thank you so much.
So a struggle is just navigating like different values and how we can respect others' values without like leaving our own type of thing. So trying to find a balance between those two.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very important that you take time, right, to understand what are the values of a particular community. And at times it's communities as well, right? Because like we have diversity and intersectionality within like even like a group of people. So you have to take the time to see what are their values, also see if there's like consensus. So that's a great observation. So we are going to, because it's now 11:29. I hope that you are again learn from each other while having these conversations. So now I am going to do like a presentation. It's a little bit more like technical in the sense that it's about community participation, from how you engage people from a planning perspective. Some of the things that you discuss here are very, very important. And I hope that this kind of like frames a little bit the conversation. So I imagine that all of you live either in Salt Lake City or in surrounding cities, and that you have seen how home prices have increased. I saw in a recent statistic that about 80% of people in the Salt Lake area, and it's kind of like more the metropolitan area, 80% of people are not able, or families are not able to afford the median home price. It is way too expensive. And obviously this causes massive displacements, with particularly hurts communities of color, low-income communities. It also hurts people that have been experiencing homelessness, and even the provision of services. And I cannot get into all the details of like how they are affected. There is a website that maybe I can you can search. It's called Thriving in Place, SLC, and it is the city plan to be able to create some solutions to this like massive problem of gentrification and displacement and unaffordability. So this project is an anti-displacement strategy. I will not talk today about the strategies. They actually were like last week in presented to City Council. You can read more about it in the news. And my students like were very involved in creating some of the solutions. But what today we will talk about is like how the community was engaged in this process of what is the problem, first of all, and then thinking about solutions. So something that we did that you actually have to do is like engage with like community counselors, and the Salt Lake City is like organized in these like groups, and many of you might be part of like the community councils. Usually young people are not, usually people of color are not, or like of other marginalized groups, which is definitely a problem of like why the city always goes to these particular spaces to get the engagement. So obviously these things are kind of like basically expected of any community engagement process, which we did to go to all these like community council meetings. But as I said, just limiting engagement to something like this is very problematic. So one of the things that is important is that people know about what you're doing and basically your campaign. So the students like engaged in trying to make this visible by doing like poster distribution in many places like senior centers and cultural centers, gyms, different restaurants everywhere in the city. And obviously trying to, in this case, as you can see, we're very much trying to concentrate on the west side because there's the west side, it has more people that are lower income, and about 50% are Latinos, or actually more than that are like from minority descent, and 30% are about immigrants. Something that we also did, it was paint these like stencils in public lands, in places that people mostly walk or bike. And I will go quickly through this because really it's basically this same idea of like making your campaign well known. Door hangers are like a good way to do outreach, in particular people that are like homebound or senior citizens, older adults that are not maybe engaging, even going to the senior center or the cultural center, and just like being able to talk to people. Part of that, doing all this, it was directing people to our website, as you already can actually find this website and check it out. All this is kind of like bilingual strategy. We didn't like include languages beyond Spanish or English. So in the website, it could be translated into several languages, but again, there was like some thoughts about that. I will show you other ways that, again, we try to engage with other communities besides the Spanish speaking community. Again, distribute a lot of postcards. We did a lot of like social media outreach, but obviously this is kind of like limited because not everybody is in social media, but it's again like a way to also engage people that otherwise might not find it when you go to a particular space in the community. Probably one of the most effective ways of doing research is actually contacting organizations. And many of you are connected to nonprofit organizations or to, senior centers, as we said, local businesses, churches are really great, libraries. So directly contacting them and asking them, do you have like a group that we can go and visit and do this survey? Do you have, like, how do you like to help us? Do you want to be part of a focus group? Can we take some postcards and some posters to your organization? So this is perhaps the most effective way. So something I wanted to try to play again, but I am not going to do it because it's kind of actually hard. Something I wanted to do is I move these dots to see like how as a group you think that people are going to be more responsive of a survey. For example, younger populations. It is perceived that a lot of them actually complete or engage in social media and engage online. And we did 2 surveys. So one of them was like online, and one of them is called Intercept, which is like where I go and in person, basically interrupt a person in whatever they're doing and ask them to engage with this effort. And this is something I can do the students in my classes we're doing. So I want to just like going to stop this for a minute and maybe ask, like, maybe give me thumbs up, and that would be a way to vote, and I will make everything online. So basically saying, do you think that young people are more likely to answer online? Give me thumbs up if you think that that's true. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Okay, I'm gonna do it for older adults. Do you think that older adults are more likely to, and you can also use the raise hand, I guess. The older adults are more likely to answer a survey online. So meaning people over 65 are more likely. Okay, so we have one person here. Mati believes that, but I think that Mati, you also said like that young people, right? So both, okay. And then how do you think that people of color are more likely to answer online? Okay, nobody put any thumbs up or anything. Do you think that women are more likely to answer online? Okay, I have like a few thumbs up in there. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about it. So now we can see how this play out in Salt Lake City. So we, in this survey that was online, we actually asked people to put their where they're like from. So we got like it was like about 1,200 online responses. The survey was also done in Spanish. Not that many people answer that with that option, only 14 people. And then we have like the intercept, which was in person. So 851 people fill this out. Remember that this is a lot harder to get because it takes a lot more time and effort to have the students go one-on-one and having people fill this out. And in the intercept, it did like pretty good in terms of the Spanish speaking population. Also, there might be a difference between people who do speak Spanish but answer in English, which is actually a large percentage of the population. And then, so you have like a total of like 2,000 surveys. In terms of like thinking about the age, so here we can see that the online survey, it had, well, you can see like the online is the blue one, right? And then the intercept is the one that is in yellow. And as you can see, of the ones, these graphs shows that people that are under 30 are more likely to answer a survey in person as opposed to online, which is kind of interesting because we think of young people, like many of yourselves, to be online, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they will fill out a survey for, you know, city government to engage in an anti-displacement strategy. In person might be more effective actually in this case. And what we have is that people more than 31 years old, as you can see, consistently are more likely to answer an online survey as opposed to in person. And then we have like, in terms of gender, women are more likely to answer in person. And there's like something also about like online environments, which, you know, in a lot of places might be dominated by males. And also there might be some social bias here in where women are more likely to talk to people on the street than men. Or it could be also part of like the surveyors a little bit in terms of, you know, approaching people and so on. But this is kind of like, again, how that played out. And then, so we have the, in terms of like online surveys, so none of you believe that, again, this was like good for people of color. Well, you will write. So people of color are way more likely to answer intercept survey or in person. And this was especially true here, actually, you can see with the Hispanic community. And then I forgot to ask about the income, but this one was like very interesting because this was actually very key for our research because we wanted to have anti-displacement strategies of people that were lower income, in particular, and people that were more susceptible to displacement. So we have the people that, let me see if I can.
I'm right here.
Oh, what's that? Oh, I think that I cannot unmute, but if you can unmute yourself. Okay, Jessica, I appreciate it. All right, so, okay, let me just go back. It was like the people who make less than $50,000, they, again, are more likely to answer in person. And this was like hugely skewed. The majority of people that answer online made more than $150,000. Which was a large percentage of those people answering online. And in terms of the living situation, obviously the people, renters were more likely to answer in something in person than homeowners. And people that were on house or were in unstable housing obviously didn't have as much access to online surveys. So that's like something for you to think about, like how you engage the public and how in pretty much like all these people who were young and women, people of color, lower income, renters, all of them were better to reach out to them in person than in online. And that really is like a key takeaway that I took out of this, because as we move in as in an online worlds, we see that again, one-on-one engagement is it has the potential of like being more equitable. Something else that we did, it was like to engage the youth. Here you see like these like very cool images of them building the city that they would like to see. So many things that they talked about, it was like adding apartments and places that were more affordable. And so that's kind of, you see a little bit of the taller buildings or single family homes that were for home ownership. And again, just coming up with ideas of what to do. And there's many schools that we went to in order to do this. So engage about 200 students. The majority of the students thought that their community was changing or gentrifying. They gave very specific examples of how it was changing. A lot of it has to do with like investments that the city was doing, like making new parks, like in this, again, just big projects, and a lot of people talking about how their friend's home was like demolished in order to make way for like a taller building. And again, people talked about like what was the meaning of homes, a place that makes them feel comfortable and safe. And we did this in like many different ways. And obviously, what does it mean to thrive in place, which is like to be able to stay in your community and grow as a person. Then thought about again what your ideal community would look like, places that you can walk and bike, with like shops that you can get by, with affordable housing. And again, students have like just great ideas. I think, yeah, one of you brought the example of like working with like organizations and kind of like build the trust. So over time, we have worked with these organizations that we had that trust. So it's like, that's why we call this engagement, trusted engagement with trusted organizations. And basically what we did, it was like work with them. So they did the surveys, they brought people together. They did all these things. We just kind of like come in and talk about the project, and we hired these like community lessons. They were get paid for this, or the organizations were paid for these. People were paid to come to these conversations. And it was with the idea of like engaging other diverse communities, in the Latino community, people who experience homelessness. There's like some partnership with Black Lives Matter as well, with Picard, that it works with a Pacific Islander community. So we again engage many people on these, and again we found out that home ownership was like a priority for a lot of people, but obviously it's not something that they are even like dreaming about. So it's kind of like creating more opportunities for home ownership, but also like in terms of like renting, a lot of people do struggle even with paying with rents. And we learn about many issues that were going on between like tenants and landlords. Something that is always very important in community engagement is to also like celebrate like what you have learned together. So we did like this festival, and we wanted to do like some mural painting, that we took the time to like translate this idea of like what thriving in place means here. So it was like translated in different languages in the community, and people came together, you know, to be thinking about the mural and what we will go in the mural. So this mural is right now in the Tree Confluence Park, and you have like these different types of housing, and then some people voted on what were the most important words that they will consider when thinking about anti-displacements. And you can actually go and see the mural. I don't know if I did include the picture of the mural at the end. So maybe, but if not, you can go and like check it out. It's very, very beautiful. And then with the youth, we did something similar. And so in a school, we like painted this mural, and it's something that the students did, but also like my students, and they did it like together. This one, they could choose anything that they want for the mural, so they chose to put like juntos es mejor, or togetherness is better, with the idea of like, you know, having all these diverse groups and communities to be able to stay where they are, to be able to grow together in place. So all this like part of engagement, it was to understand again the problem and to start to be thinking about solutions. Phase one of city sponsor project, right? So this is something that the city will transform into like policies and things to change. I said that I obviously would not talk too much about that, but some ideas are creating a mitigation fund. Oh, excuse me. Gonna get a little water here. I have been talking too much and I have a little cold, so that's why. So some of the ideas might be creating like a mitigation fund, which is like developers pay money when they, like, for example, demolish place that there's a renters that might live there, pay like a high markup to be able to do that, and then that family could find rental housing somewhere else, or even like come back later on in that particular space. Okay. Give me one more moment. Only like a few more minutes. I wanted to see if anyone has like any questions about the project, about thriving in place, or about like the engagement process that we did, or is there anything that you'd like to share? So I have a question here from Emma, like what are the strategies or best practices to make interactions with diverse communities more culturally competent and sensitive? So I think that like some of the best strategies that we use, it was like working with organizations that work with those communities. So because obviously they are already like culturally competent and sensitive, because they already have the trust. I think that Marian was the one who brought that up. I hope that I'm not like confusing the student who brought that up. But I think that again, that's like one of the best practices, and that comes along with also like listening to what they would like to do, and in many of these, well, in this like engagement, so we have obviously the ideas that we will create. We will give them flexibility as well, like you can bring the community to like a focus group, bring get some food, just kind of give them the idea. So people decided to do like one-on-ones, some people decided to do multiple groups, some people decided to do like bilingual groups, and where people will, the focus group will literally be 2 languages. These people come together. So some of them were very diverse and representative of the community. Some of them only represented one particular community. The questions could be very different. Like something I was like learning is that for in the um, like the topics that they want to talk about, like with the Pacific Highlander community, for them, like intersectionality. Intersectionality. Living in an intergenerational household was like very important. So, but this like idea of having like bigger homes that will like house everyone, and again, everybody could. The questions were whatever they wanted. So we would just basically say, you know, it has to be on this context, obviously, which is anti-displacement. So what we're going to do about it, but just give them a lot of liberty in that. So I think that that's a way of also building trust, right? That you're not like imposing yourself or your values of what you want on the community. So thank you so much, Emma, for that question. I want to see if anyone else has like any questions about this particular project or about just engagement in general, or your experiences as well. So it doesn't seem people have questions, but I want to put again these slides that we will sharing, and I'm going to just skip towards the end, which is for you to like go there and write down here, like in this lecture, what was like reinforced for you. Oh, and I think that I don't want to share complete this screen so we can see what we're writing. Oh, here. Yeah, if you can go to like 39, I think you can see that. And then just type here like what was reinforced for you, but then also we will move quickly to think about what is a new insight that you learned from today. So reinforcement is like something that maybe came, you know, in a circle for you, something that you know that today are you're like, yes, I knew that, and it was like reinforced. One example I could bring for myself is like that building trust is important. So just kind of like take a little, like a minute to write down was like reinforced for you. I don't know if people are oh yeah, I see that. I guess you have to kind of like refresh. Yeah, I see everybody being in there. Yeah, I don't know why it's not refreshing on mine, but that's okay. We can again just take our time to just write down what was reinforced for you, and I can see that people are writing to build trust with diverse communities takes time, and one must understand differences in perspective. In order to be effective, community has its own autonomy, and it needs to be understood for community work to be effective. Yeah, thank you so much. And to build community, you have to start with knowing the community. And I don't know if anyone did start to type something in what is a new insight that you learn. Yeah, like I see, yeah, thinking about online versus person. See that there are various ways to reach the community. Right. Well, thank you so much. I hope that this was useful and helpful for everyone. I don't know, like Naira, if there's some closing from the Bellingham Center.
Yes, yes. So again, thank you so much for participating in the session. And a special thank you again to you, Eva Garcia, for sharing your knowledge and your wonderful experience with us.